field right over here where I'm pointing to right now was grazed 2 days ago. The cattle were in this field yesterday afternoon and this morning, and they've just been moved down to the lower field. That field is very similar to what you're seeing right here in front of me. This field itself was grazed back in the end of April. There was a cutting of hay taken off of it in approximately just before July 1st, and now we're back here grazing the end of August. This field, as you're looking at it too, one of the things I want to point out is that it was originally seeded back in the mid-90s. It had started to peter out, and then for 2 different years we bale grazed it in the wintertime. Then we're really doing a high stock density grazing, something that Jim Cherish always talks about doing, and we're trying to follow a lot of the stuff that Jerry Bernetti practiced too with the soils. We do take soil samples and try to keep everything up to snuff, but we're really relying pretty much on the cattle to improve the ground. This field, before we had implemented some high stock density grazing here, it was pretty well petered out, but by putting the animals in here and really letting them work this through, both in the wintertime and early spring, we've been able to increase the population of good grasses and a lot of good legumes. So we're very pleased with that. This field here was originally seeded with alfalfa and Timothy and orchard grass. Of course, the alfalfa has petered out over the years, but right now we've got a pretty strong population of red clover in here. There is some white clover, a little bit of trefoil, and the grasses, but unfortunately we still have bed straw. The cows have really knocked that down and done a good job on making that diminish the populations, but the red clover has come back in, and that's pretty much from the bale grazing in this area here. And as you look through the field, the density is really pretty heavy, and I think we're running about 40% legumes in here right now compared to 60% grass. This field that I'm standing in right now is very similar to the one I was just in, but what we have done here 2 days ago, we had 47 animals in about 1.5 acres here. We leave them in here approximately 24 hours before we do the next move. So we are moving the cattle every day all through the grazing season, which for us starts on April 15th and ended last year on January 10th. So we really extend that grazing season out there. We try not to feed a lot of hay. It's easier for the cows to do it, and we don't have to buy diesel fuel. I'd like to point out down the field here, you can see our cattle. It's further on down there, but there's approximately 47 head of cattle there, beef cattle, and these are South Devon. They're grass-fed cattle that we have. We don't use any grain on this farm. The breed itself is from England. It's a very old breed, and we've been mixing that in. We've got some hybrids in there also. But we find those cattle work well on this type of ground for us. We have here 395 acres of land. We didn't start out with that. It's been a gradual progression over the years. And right now my son and daughter-in-law work full-time on the farm, and that's their living. So we are a full-time farm.